Right, Inga. You've locked yourself out, you silly girl. Don't forget this damn machine. What on earth is going on around here? Who's it? Is there someone there?
The human man. We must find him and kill him.
Whether invoked or not invoked, evil will come.
You run bastard! Come out! Coming out! I kill you! I kill you! Where are you? You murdering bastard!
Hi everybody, welcome to the, I think, 5th or 6th episode. I know we're in the middle somewhere.
Oh my Lord, Adrian, how can you not count? I think
this might be number 5.
It's number 5. Jeez.
Yeah. Welcome to the 5th episode in our in our Donald Pleasence season. I am the slightly forgetful Adrian Smith, and I am joined by the always on the ball Rod Barnett.
Oh, that is not true, as our pregame conversation will attest to. I am capable of forgetting the most obvious things in the world. Hello, everyone. We're glad to be here and glad to be talking about a horror film. Something that, as strange as it may seem, when we're dealing with this is a podcast about Italian cult cinema, but we have been very careful about not venturing too often into the Italian horror area because it is so overcovered.
Yeah.
In this case, I think we're kind of safe because this one's been under the radar for a very long time, and it's only, I think, that recent Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome that's brought a lot of attention to this film.
Yeah. Yes, this is true. It's hard to throw a stone without hitting an Italian horror podcast. Yep. So, yeah, we've been selective as to where we've stepped into that field, but this is a fun one.
That pause after stepped in. I was like, oh man, where's he going with this? Okay.
So yeah, but this is a fun film, I think, which we'll get to in a moment. I just wanted to start off by mentioning something that's probably too late by the time you listen to this, but we singularly forgot to mention in our last episode the fact that we've been nominated for a best commentary in the best commentators, I think.
Yeah.
In the Rondo Awards.
And yes, you're correct. It is definitely too late by the time they hear this.
And it's probably too late because I think the deadline is tomorrow as we're recording. Well, tomorrow for me, in 2 days for you, because we've crossed an international date line. But I think it's the 6th of May, right?
Honestly,
something like that.
I'm not positive. I have done a much worse job of advertising the fact that we were nominated for a Rondo as commentators for our Devil Doll. No, not a Devil Doll. I'm sorry. Devil Doll is the film it was paired with.
Curse of the Voodoo.
Yeah.
But you were also nominated. You and Troy were nominated as well, I believe.
I and the Troys, both Troys, were nominated for the Troy 1 and Troy 2. I am the cat in the hat in this scenario. We were nominated for our Frankenstein's Bloody Terror, or Mark of the Wolfman, as I insist on thinking of it as, the very first of the Valdemar Daninsky werewolf films made by Paul Nash.
Right.
Needless to say, we really enjoyed doing that. Whenever the three of us get together, it's always a question of, wow, how much can we squeeze in here as quickly as possible? But at the same time, it's one that we've all been looking forward to coming out in a decent Blu-ray for a very long time, and so it's always fun.
Was that the 3D one?
Yes, it was.
That's cool.
Shot in 70 millimeter and very extraordinarily rarely projected in 3D.
Yes. Or presumably even watched now in 3D because you need a special telly to watch it, right? Which is a pain.
I keep hoping that there will be a chance to see it theatrically in 3D just for the experience, but it has not ventured anywhere near me. I know there is at least a print out there that was struck a few years ago that is in 3D, but I've not had the opportunity, sad to say.
No, well, it's a shame. Well, anyway, so I'm going to do my best to get this edited and published today. So if you're listening when this has just dropped onto your phone or wherever, and you haven't yet voted in the rondos, please do consider voting for us in the rondos. That would be exciting. I mean, we know that there are much heavier hitters than us, but it's still exciting to be involved.
Very true.
And there's always next year, right? I'm confident because there'll be another one that we might get noticed for. Although again, the trouble is the rondos are horror based, and we don't always comment. Although actually, to be fair, we probably do commentaries on horror more than we do podcasts on horror.
Yeah, strange as that may seem, yeah, we do kind of range all over the place. It is a question of what we get asked to do, and considering how profitable the Italian horror stuff is on Blu-ray and 4K, it does seem as if the opportunities are there for that more frequently than other things.
I was disappointed we didn't get nominated last year for Alien 2, Alien on Earth, or Alien Terror. But I'm assuming that's probably because nobody watched it.
It's probably because there's a lot of people who've seen the film before and went, I ain't buying that again.
Yeah, buying that, yeah.
But honestly, I think you should. Because there are these two guys who really found some great information and he actually talked to the two lead actors to do a comment and did a commentary track that is packed with funny anecdotes and a lot of information about that film. So highly recommended.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yes, and you and I just did another one for a film which is coming out, I think, in June, Waves of Lust.
Yes, indeed.
So, again, not strictly a horror,
no.
Although, again, I think we could say it's horror adjacent. It's more in the thriller territory, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. I would put it in the thriller category, a very erotic thriller, lots of nudity. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we were both naked when we were recording, I think really helped us to get into the zone.
That is not the nudity I was referring to, but yes, that is true.
And so that'll be fun to for when that one comes out. I also wanted to mention I enjoyed your Bloody Pit episode on Destiny.
Oh, thank you. We have been getting a lot of interesting feedback on that, including from some people who I have a lot of respect for. It was really kind of a surprise to hear from Charles Bronson expert Paul Talbot about loving that particular episode and pointing me toward a bootleg, cobbled together version of Flesh and Fantasy that uses every bit of footage that Destiny has that was shot for Flesh and Fantasy to kind of try to reconstruct the way the film would have been before they started doing what they did to it. I haven't watched it yet. I'm very excited to, though. It's something that he pointed me toward, and it's I'm glad you brought this up because I need to go ahead and push play on that possibly this evening just to go ahead and see what they've done. I mean, it's it's going to be far from perfect, but I was so happy he reached out and let me know about that.
Is that on Fan Edits?
It's definitely. I'm not sure where else it would be. He pointed me toward a posting on Vimeo so that I could watch it that way. So I'm not sure where else it might be.
Yeah, it's just a shame that there'll be such a noticeable dip in quality between the two.
Yeah, there's the image quality. The image quality is gonna jump down. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a film that really needs rescuing.
Yes, indeed.
Because it, regardless of whether or not they cut it back in and do a proper reconstruction, in its own right, it's as you talked about, it's a really good film and really interesting. And the De Vivier footage is really, really impressive.
Yes, so it's amazing.
It's a real shame. Yeah, and obviously I watched that film because we talked about it a lot when we did our commentary track for the Australian release of Flesh and Fantasy.
Right.
And we talked about then how It would have been great. And I did ask them. I said, "Hey, are you guys gonna? Can you get hold of Destiny and put it on as a bonus feature?" But no.
Sadly, no.
So, yeah, maybe there's just no elements. But you have to wonder. I mean, this is Universal we're talking about. They've kept pretty good track of almost everything they have. So you'd think there must be something that they could use.
Yeah, you'd think, but man, at this point, I mean, as we speculate in the Bloody Pit episode on the film, it's you wonder if it's that there aren't good elements to make to do a restoration from, or whether there's just not the perception that it would be in any way at all profitable, because there is no big name attached to the film, and really it's only a film that cinema completists and cinema curious film nuts would really be fascinated to see and be interested in buying. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a nondescript title, Destiny.
Yeah.
As well. It doesn't really grab you, does it?
No, and we did talk a little bit about the fact that Destiny was a placeholder title for about 4 different films before they finally just left it as the title for the film in 1944 that eventually came out with it. So, it's genera title, yeah.
I was waiting to see if you guys did your regular coming up with a more appropriate title.
Oh, we didn't. Well, we didn't even think of that. That's something I have to. If I don't prompt Troy to do that, because he's so good at coming up with those things.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think to prompt him for that. That's a missed opportunity.
Never mind. No, it's but it's a great episode. So good job. It's good to always shine a light on these forgotten films. Do you have something coming up that you want to mention?
I've got in the hopper. Will come out somewhere around the middle of April. Is an episode on Truck Turner, the single Isaac Hayes starring role in a blaxploitation movie, and going back and revisiting that is always a joy, and it's a bit frustrating as well because it did not lead to a series of Truck Turner films, and it also did not lead to more starring roles in such movies for Isaac Hayes, which is kind of that really is a frustration when you see the movie, because he's got so much charm, it just kind of bleeds off the screen. It's amazing. And needless to say, I'm not sure if I stated this in the episode or not. I think his score for Truck Turner is better than Shaft. And I just I've always preferred Truck Turner, the score for it, to the score for Shaft. And I love the score for Shaft. So that's just how much I like that, full stop.
I think you might mean middle of May.
No, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have lost. Yes, like we're already in May. Oh, you have no idea how addlepated I feel. Yes, middle of May, the middle of this month. Man, you'd think. I guess my birthday on the 1st just kind of shook too many things loose from my skull, and I can't keep them all in a row now. But yes, the middle of May. You're correct.
And I think Mondo just recently announced a bunch of new stuff, including a film that you are involved with.
Yes. Morbo is coming out. An excellent little thriller from the early 70s from Spain. It's one that, I guess, once again, it's a cult film for a number of reasons. But it's not one that fits into the usual categories and would show up beside, say, Paul Naschy movies or Armando de Osorio films or things of that nature, because it is quite different in a lot of ways. It's a very small story about a couple who, at the beginning of the movie, get married. We see that they see them coming out of the church, getting married, and them going on their honeymoon in a little camper out in the woods. And let's just say things get weird, and it's a wonderful little movie that, as with all horror movies of this type or thrillers of this type being made in Spain at the time under the last few years of the dictator, it's got a lot to say and is saying it in ways that is very easy to pick up on in some cases and slightly subtle in others. Fantastic cast. Ana Belén, the female lead, is an extraordinarily talented woman. She's primarily known as, I mean, she did a lot of fantastic films as well, but she's primarily known as a singer, and she's an incredible talent, and it was a real joy to be able to, while doing the research for that, to watch her and her husband talking about both the film and music. Both of them are musicians. Both of them are in the movie. It's just, Morbo's a really great little film. It's more than a curiosity. It actually it slots very nicely into the end of the last decade of the Spanish dictatorship very effectively. It's a fascinating movie and well worth your time.
Very cool. Well done. Yeah, other things I just wanted to mention before we get going on the film, a couple of things that have been announced. The first one, of course, it seems like Severin are starting to follow our playbook in terms of weird themes for Italian movies. They've just announced a box set of Italian disco films.
I know. I never, okay, let's be clear. You probably were aware of this little subgenre of Saturday Night Fever ripoffs and Grease ripoffs. I was blissfully unaware, and the minute I saw the little trailer that Severin put together, I knew I had to see these damn movies. I don't think I'm going to necessarily like them, but I do need to see them. That's just disturbing.
It's definitely the kind of thing we would have decided to do for a season or a mini season.
Oh, yes. Yes,
and maybe we will down the line.
Yeah, I was about to say that's and we may point in that direction and go eventually. Yes.
It's really funny. There is one film that I was aware of that they've not included, which would have been fun. There's a film I came across doing some research for something else called White Pop Jesus, and it's basically about the second coming, but he comes back and is a disco sensation.
I'm going to have to assume that it is kind of Jesus Christ Superstar.
I guess, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that would have been too controversial in the current climate in America to stick that on your box set. But
I don't know. These days, apparently arranging seashells is controversial. So,
but yes, so that looks really fun, and they've got Alan Jones involved, the legendary Alan Jones, who is the founder of Fright Fest here in the UK, and has written books on Dario Argento, and just recently brought out his own memoir called Discomania, which is interesting. It's a little bit like Kier Janice's book House of Psychotic Women, where it combines autobiography with film review. But whereas hers was all about women experiencing some form of psychosis or horror in their lives, his book is his own memoir combined with his love of disco and 100 disco movies he reviews in the book. So he's the authority on disco films. Who knew there were 100 of them? But
I got to tell you, there's a younger version of me that is disgusted that I want to see these movies.
I know, right? It's really funny. I think it surprised a lot of people that the founder of Fright Fest, his memoir is based on disco. I mean, this is the guy that was involved in the creation of the Sex Pistols, among many other things, in his long and varied career. And he has a cameo in Norman J. Warren's film Terror. So Alan wrote the foreword for our Norman J. Warren book.
Cool.
So I do know Alan a little bit. He's a great guy, and I bought his Discomania book last year, and it's pretty fab. So it's good that he's involved. I think obviously that was his book coming out was probably the genesis for this box set. So that will be a fun one to check out at some point. And maybe we can do a disco mini season.
I have no problem with that.
I don't know.
I mean,
sometime.
I will just say that it's not too surprising anymore to find out that someone that you associate with a certain type of music actually likes a very, almost diametrically opposed type of music, at least from your point of view. Mm-hmm. And I just always flash back to this wonderful quote from Ice-T, who once said, after a discussion of how much he loved Black Sabbath, I feel sorry for anyone who only listens to one type of music. So
Yeah, that's very true. Uh, and yeah, so that's quite fun. So that's coming out. I don't know when. Severin seemed to announce stuff, and then it just takes forever to actually finally arrive. So I'm not sure.
that's
I'm not
that's
sure,
the
but,
that's the anticipation, just
exactly.
jackhammering it home. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fun. The other thing I just wanted to briefly mention in this very long opening stretch of our podcast, I apologize for that, is that the guys who run the festival Weird Worcester, which is British sort of weekend convention festival thing, that's happening again in July. I think I've mentioned it before. They just announced their latest guest. I think this is courtesy of Eugenio Ercolani. They've got Fabio Testi to come along,
Whoa,
which
cool.
is really awesome. Yeah. So there's going to be a Fabio Testi and Enzo Castellari reunion.
Nice.
So that's very cool. And I just happen to have brought my Blu-ray of The Big Racket with me here to China, so I'm going to watch it soon in anticipation.
I was going to say all they need there
seeing the two
is
of them.
all they need is like a mock-up of the interior of a compact Italian car from the 70s that they can that they can spin while
Yeah.
Fabio Testi is inside it. It's like, there we go, take your
Yeah.
photograph with Fabio.
I know, it's really cool. I mean, it's shaping up to be a pretty impressive event. They've already announced Al Cliver is coming to the UK for the first time.
Cool.
And they've got Luigi Cozzi and Caroline Munro. So,
Very nice, man.
but yeah, it's pretty fun. So anyway, if you're in the UK or you just want to come over for the weekend, that's happening in the middle of July. But right, we've made people wait long enough. Let's talk about our film for this week. This time we've got quite a lot of Donald Pleasence.
Yep.
As opposed to a kind of cameo role in some of the other ones we've talked about. We're talking about the director Marcello Avallone's archaeological horror, Spettri, or Specters. Cue some synth music. And I keep referring to this film accidentally as Spectre, which it isn't called,
yeah,
but it is.
Specters. Yeah.
It is called Spectre. It's called Spectre on the IMDb, which is what keeps confusing me.
It is, really?
Yeah. Especially because it's got Donald Pleasence in it. So obviously, if you Google Donald Pleasence and Spectre, you just come up with another film.
Oh, man.
So yeah, so the IMDb has mistitled it, which is confusing. But it is Spettri in Italian, or Specters in its English language release on VHS back in the 80s, and now finally on Blu-ray. Not to be confused with another horror film called Catacombs, but this is a horror film set in the Roman catacombs.
Yes.
And I'd never seen this film before. How about you?
I saw it when when Vinegar Syndrome released the double feature of the two Avallone horror films, this and Maya. I still have not watched Maya, but I've now watched Specters. I've now watched Specters, I think, 3 times. So that may give you a hint as to what I think.
Yes, it's good, right? Let's just come up and say it. I think this is really good. I enjoyed this a lot.
Well, here's the thing. It's not that I don't have problems with it. My one real problem with it is that it is sometimes paced in a way that I think everyone thought was going to build tension. But what it really does is make one start to wonder what the hell we're waiting for. But that is my only complaint about the film, because I love the way it's put together. The story has enough juice to really kind of get everything going. I like the cast. It's It's beautiful to look at. I like the special effects. I like the gooey, gory aspect of.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a full on head crush in this. I mean,
Yeah, it's
happy.
quite good, that one.
You know, I've got a big smile on my face for that kind of thing, as you would expect.
Yeah, and it's a good effect.
Yeah.
It's a good effect. It's not just a watermelon with a wig on it, like in it, you know, like if Lloyd Kaufman was directing.
Yeah,
it's a proper effect.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I like some films we could point to and will not. But yeah, the film is well produced. It's well directed. Like I say, my one real beef with it is that the pacing sometimes lags, and that's okay. What's there is I thoroughly enjoy. So
Yeah, this is a film that I would have really enjoyed if I'd have stumbled across the VHS when I was like 12 years old.
yeah, that makes sense.
It would have appealed to me a lot, I think. But we'll get into the reasons why, I guess. But let's first of all talk about Marcello Avallone. Apart from his horror double bill, like you said, that came out on the Blu-ray, I'm basically unfamiliar with all of his work.
I am too. I've heard of him before from various different projects, but quite honestly, it is only this movie that I have seen. I now, having seen a wonderful interview with him, that's one of the extras on the Vinegar Syndrome disc, I am now curious to see a couple of his other movies. They seem quite interesting, but yeah.
Unfortunately, I was sure I'd packed it because I was trying to be prepared, but I didn't bring the Blu-ray with me. So I went to put it on this week and it wasn't there. I kept looking and looking and looking. I just didn't have it. So I had to watch the film on Tubi, which is using the Vinegar Syndrome prints, which is fine, but it meant I couldn't look at any of the bonus material, which was annoying. So that's good that you did.
Oh, the extras are phenomenal. And
yeah, no, it's a shame I don't have it. I'll just have to catch up when I get home. But yeah, so the other films that he's made they're not even really horror films.
no,
This is a kind of, I guess, just because they were still making horror, but mainly for the VHS market by the mid to late 80s. But his other films are more in his very first credit as director is a Mondo film. And then he made a couple more films in the 70s, including the kind of sex comedy Kujina Mie, My Cousins,
yeah.
which is another one of those slightly incestuous sex comedies that they seem to love in the 70s in Italy.
Yes, the Italian filmmaker. They love to kill animals on screen, and they love to imply incest is all around you.
Yeah, so not really sure what was going on there. But based on what I've seen in this movie, he's certainly got talent as a director, and I mean, combined with the cinematographer, he's got an eye for what works, particularly shooting on location. So they shot this, a lot of it. I mean, there's some in the studio, but there's also there's use of the real catacombs, and it looks great. So the cinematographer is Silvano Ippoliti, who worked on Caligula and other films by Tinto Brass and all kinds of stuff. During quite a long career, he shot The Humanoid, which is obviously a career highlight.
Obviously, your favorite film of all time.
Yeah, but just loads of stuff. The Great Silence, going all the way back to the early 60s, and films like Sodom of Gomorrah and other peplum type films, and Euro Spies and Iguana with the Tongue of Fire. So, although we could credit Marcello with a lot of this, perhaps the style of the film, I don't think we can discount the cinematographer there too. But this is a great looking movie and makes really good use of the locations and the studio work too, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna have to say that the location work adds infinitely to how impressive this movie is and how effective it is, because this is all stuff that this is one of the reasons why film is film is a wonderful thing for those of us who can't do the traveling that some others can do, which is this is my chance to see these catacombs. So this is my chance to see these places, and it's so well photographed. We get some nice looks at these areas, and the exteriors and things are fantastic. And we actually spend some time there with dialogue being delivered, so you can actually watch the dialogue and the actors and the setting as this real world place that's beautiful to look at. And so that's just a little extra, it's something that points to one of the benefits that Troy and I have been talking about for a decade and a half now, which is how, European filmmakers have that benefit of being able to shoot in these ruins all over Europe, these places that immediately give you a whole lot to look at, things that you don't necessarily find anywhere else. And this movie takes full advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, apologies, but I have been in the Roman catacombs.
I wasn't talking necessarily about you, but yes, you have.
And, I did a little bit of there's a lot, obviously, they talk about in this movie. There's hundreds of miles. So, but yeah, I did go to one where it was used as a tomb. So like you see in this film when he's taking some students on a tour, and you've got all these kind of inset spaces that have got bones on and stuff. So I've done that part. I've seen one of the places that they used as a kind of graveyard.
Did a rat ever fall on your shoulder and then you consequently jump into one of those niches with a pile of bones? Just curious.
Yeah, there's a bit. Okay, let's just talk about that now. There's a bit here where there's a girl who's very scared, and she sees loads of rats running towards her. So what does she instantly do? She lies on the floor. Like, wouldn't you try and get out?
Well, is it on the floor or is it? I thought she got into one of the niches in the wall there with one of the corpses, or one of the. Well, it's not a corpse anymore.
Yeah, but wasn't that on the floor? It's like she lies down, but she's hiding on the level of the rats, which I don't know seemed. Anyway, but yeah, no, I didn't see any rats, thankfully. Yeah, and you see a lot of great Roman ruins. I was trying to work out where it was because it doesn't specify. Maybe it does somewhere in the bonus features that I can look at. But it looks, at what points it looks like they might be on the Capitoline Hill, which is right near the Colosseum.
Okay.
But which I think we get a shot of the Colosseum as well at one point in the film.
Yes. Early on, yeah.
Yeah. But to be honest, when you go to Rome, there are ruins everywhere. So it at points I wondered whether they were at the big, I've forgotten the name of it, the big Roman baths, which is just outside the city, which we've seen in some other movies that we've talked about. There's a Poliziotteschi film where there's a big shootout and they're running around in the ruins of a Roman baths. And at one point I wondered if it was there, but I'm not really sure because there's a lot of columns and I don't know, maybe they filmed at a few different places. But yeah, they, like you said, they make full use of that for free production value, as well as building some of the tunnels in the set. The film in the credits is interesting. It was produced by Ray Italia, which was a TV company. So I don't know if this was made originally just to go straight to television, but it seems to have more gore and nudity than I think would have been acceptable on television. I don't know, but this is around the same time as those
the Lamberto Bava films that were being made, and the House films.
Yeah, and like House of Souls. Yeah. Where they could have a little bit but not too much. So
but inevitably Umberto Lenzi's going to go too far.
Yeah, exactly. So this seemed to have a bit too much, I would have thought, for television.
Well, I think
who knows, maybe.
If you keep that in mind while you're watching it, it would appear to me that the nudity and the really kind of over the top violence would be rather easy to snip from this.
That's true. Yeah,
so
that's true.
Never discount the skill of the censor's scissors.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, but it did get shown, and we're getting ahead of ourselves here. It got screened at Cannes, where it was looking for international distribution, and but then its main audience would have been either Italian television or on VHS, but we'll get to that later. We've kind of covered there the fact that neither of us are particularly familiar with Avallone. There is so he co-wrote the script with Andrea Purgatori, and I think Purgatori is an excellent name for somebody writing horror films.
Yes. And he also has a cameo.
Oh yeah, does he?
Yeah. He even has dialogue. It was great to have the extras point him out.
Oh, he's uncredited then because he's not in the credits. I don't
Nope,
think.
no, he's not. He's not given an on-screen credit.
Oh right.
Yeah, he has.
What did he do?
He is one of the. He's the researcher who. One of the characters goes to. They've given him some of the bones in their.
Oh yes.
He's the guy who is supposed to put together a reconstruction of what these bones may have come from. But it's that fellow. He's just got the one scene. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he lives in a museum, it seems, and has got a pet monkey.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So he wrote this film and Maya, and also Avallone's following film, Panama Sugar. So they obviously got on well together.
Apparently so.
The producers, because it was because they hadn't made horror before, they wanted to be reassured that the script was going to work. So they brought in Dardano Sacchetti as basically a sort of script doctor.
Yep.
But according to Sacchetti, I saw something where Sacchetti said that it was because the people financing the film were not very confident, and he said that he talked to the other two for a week, but they told him, we're going to pay you your fee, but leave us our movie. So he basically didn't do anything. His name was just on the credits to reassure everybody that it was going to be fine.
I've looked this over, and it's not a disaster. Yeah, that's about as far. Yeah,
and it worked very well. But obviously, Sacchetti has a lot of great credits like Demons and Beyond and Bronx Warriors and all kinds of good stuff. But
that's the thing. We've talked about it before, and he is one of those guys. Yeah. If I see his name in the credits, then I'm more inclined to see it than not.
Exactly. So his name was there to reassure everybody, but unless he's just being very humble, but he says he didn't really have any input at all. But his name is not the only one in the credits who is associated with the horror of this period. Obviously, most significantly, we've got Sergio Stivoletti doing the special effects.
Yep.
And he did Demons and a bunch of other stuff.
Very well known for his very effective special effects work.
Yeah. And like you said, there's some good ones here, including a pretty realistic head squishing.
You got a head squish, you got a heart rip, you got bloody face grabbing, a cheek tear.
Oh yes, yeah. Someone's face gets pulled off, but not by the pet monkey. We should add.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm just gonna say I am utterly shocked that the monkey made it through the movie alive. Just gonna say that out front. There's no animal torture in this at all. So if that's something that you're concerned about, no, the monkey is just there for no good reason whatsoever.
No, well, he's just there to provide some screeching, because I guess.
Maybe I guess you're right. Yeah.
Just to heighten the tension, because he's screeching away at something and we don't know what it is, but we can probably guess. I mean, this is one of those films, I don't know what you think, but like other sort of films that are vaguely supernatural, but the supernatural is never really defined.
No.
So it basically can do anything.
And, and that's the beauty of it, in my opinion.
That's kind of what happens here, isn't it?
Yeah, you can get... by the time you get to the point where you would think, oh, wow, it's kind of a monster movie, it's kind of just kept that under the radar for long enough that you're not sure that that's exactly how things are going to play out.
Because the name Specters suggests ghosts, right?
Right.
Not monsters. But we do see there's a film within a film moment, which is fun, where suddenly a heroine, Alice, played by the Danish actress Trine Mickelson, is being chased by the creature from the Black Lagoon.
I know, and that's another. I mean, clearly that has to be a suit that they had made up long before. This is, I mean, it looks fantastic. And
Yeah. They've rented it, haven't they?
I don't know. I mean, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Maybe they got it from Luigi Cozzi's Halloween costume shop in Rome.
It's a possibility.
But yeah, it's very good.
It's just down the road.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's got some catacombs of his own. He's got his like vaulted wine cellar in the basement.
Under the store.
Yeah, where he's got his Argento museum. I'm telling you, Rod, if you ever want to do it, I will be your driver. And you come over to Italy and we'll do a road trip. And I'll drive you to Spain as well. And you can combine both things in one trip.
I have a number of offers from different places in Europe to come and visit, and it's just like, I don't know if I'm ever with the way things are now. I doubt it would be wise unless I pretended I was Canadian. So
yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, that creature from the Black Lagoon moment is fun. Although I'm sure that later on they just use the same. They use like the hand from that costume, or I don't know.
You see, I don't know that that's necessarily true, because that hand that we see gripping the woman's head, it does not look. It's not the same color by any stretch, and it seems like the fingers are very different. Not at all what you would expect from a kind of creature. But I really like the monster effects in this. That suit that we get a fair look at in the final few minutes of the movie. Yeah, they had some money.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Who else should we mention just briefly before we get into the plot?
Oh well, I'm shocked to when I first watched this movie. I don't know how, but it just kind of drifted by me. I saw her name in the credits, but Erna Schurer, has a very small role in this, and basically she did it. It's like one of the last things she ever did, and she did it as a favor to the director, to Avallone, because they've been friends at that point for like 15 years because they worked together early on in a couple of different movies, and they were very good friends, and apparently still are. And so she did this for him, and she's got a small little role because of who she is. And if you don't know who Erna Schurer is, she's Italian actress who appeared in. Let's start with Scream of the Demon Lover, which I was lucky enough to be able to provide a commentary track for when it came out on Blu-ray a couple of years ago. I just absolutely love Scream of the Demon Lover, and she's fantastic in it. But she's good in everything you'll ever see her in. So some of the movies, like Strip Nude for the Killer. That's one of the sleaziest movies I think ever made. But she's in that. And deported women of the SS special section. That's there's some sleaze involved there, but
I can imagine, yeah.
But I'm just a big fan of her. I think she's very good on screen, and I think she's a good actress. Yeah. Besides, I mean, she did a lot of work in the theater, and she was always well respected. And it's just one of those things where, the role is small, but she did it as a favor. That's very nice.
Yeah, she's playing. I think she's basically the teacher who's in charge of this group of students who are going on a catacomb tour.
Yep.
Again, the IMDb, which whoever has been updating the IMDb appears not to have watched the film, because she's listed as a catacomb guide, but she's not the guide. She's the teacher.
No. Yeah, the catacomb guide is somebody completely different, and he's blind.
Yeah. Is he called Gino? I think that's him.
Oh my goodness! I thought was he?
But yeah, they got a blind. Oh, I can't remember. They got a blind guide, which is
okay. Let's as a side thing. Let's make mention of this. One other criticism, other than the pacing, that I could see leveled at this and agree with, is that this movie has a preponderance of characters that seem unnecessary. They keep introducing characters almost
Yeah.
as if we need them because we need a body count. And that
Yes.
is partially true. But like
Mm.
Ernest Sure, her character is never off, never bumped off.
No.
But at the same time, there is a moment in the movie where we're watching this person who is responsible for having bankrolled the Donald Pleasence character's catacomb project, and he's a collector of antiquities, probably a little on the shady side. And
well, yeah, I think this is Gaspar, isn't it? I think that's who he was.
yeah. Well, so we've got that character.
Yeah.
And then he introduces us to another character who he sends to just get some information. And it's essentially those two characters are in the movie so that we have a couple more people to get either their face ripped off or their head squished or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the way in which they're introduced, the time taken to do it is some of the stuff where you're just like, I don't know that we necessarily need this in this movie. This is not, it's not something that really needs to lengthen this film out to 93 minutes. I mean, this thing I think it could be trimmed back to about 85 and move a little quicker. But I'm not going to complain because, as I said, I've watched the thing 3 times now. So,
yeah, I like that guy. I think that's quite an interesting character. So Donald Pleasence is playing Professor Lasky, who is running this archaeological dig, an incredibly well-funded but understaffed archaeological dig.
True.
They've got a lot of money to spend on a big computer, and they've got cameras and all this kind of stuff. But he's only actually got 3 young people to help him. I think he needs, just for safety purposes, he needed more people.
Probably at least double the number.
Yeah. This dig is being funded by a former professor who it is hinted at had to leave academia because of his preponderant or his what's the word I'm looking for his predilections towards students under the age of 20.
Yes.
I think it is suggested that that's why he had to leave, but he's become a very wealthy antique dealer instead, using his archaeological knowledge. And that's basically why he's funding this dig, is because he wants to take the stuff that Donald Pleasence finds and sell it off. Whereas Donald Pleasence basically quotes Indiana Jones, "This belongs in a museum," which was fun to hear.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is something we were joking about last episode when we were talking about this film coming up to watch, which would be a question of, just how dangerous is it to be an archaeologist? And apparently it's second only to, open combat soldiering. So stay thyself away from archaeological digs, I guess.
I know, right? They definitely have a bit of a lax attitude towards health and safety on this dig, which we'll get into when we perhaps get into the plot. Yeah, so they're digging with the film start. Actually, I've got a plot summary. Let's do it, and then we can mention some of the other characters as we go along. So the plot summary that I've got the review from Variety, from the screening at Cannes. But it doesn't really give us much of a plot summary.
There's a pretty good one on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, so I found that one, but I found a blog post that I quite liked.
Oh, good. Okay.
A blog called crappymoviereviews.com.
Well, does that mean that the reviews are crappy or that the films are?
Yeah, well, let's leave it to the listener to decide. So they say the movie opens with some workers using a large boring machine to extend a subway tunnel, and the vibrations. So we see this, and at first there's somebody saying, "You've got to stop! The whole tunnel's going to cave in." And I was thinking, "Ooh, good, we're going to have a tunnel cave in," and then we just never go back to that tunnel again.
I know it's very clear because that looks like a real boring machine,
real subway tunnel.
Yeah, that's real production value, and it just that never returns as a plot point.
No. So, but then we cut to this archaeological dig where Professor Lasky is looking for some kind of pre-Christian pagan burial site.
Yeah.
And there's a cave-in and a new tunnel opens up where basically they go and find it, and it looks like it was clearly just bricked up at some point but there's an entrance to this catacomb. It's opened up, and they go in and they find basically what he's been looking for, which is the entrance to this grave that may or may not be some kind of pagan deity.
Yeah, and I just have to say that there's a round number that gets tossed around in horror movies that immediately makes anyone raised in the Christian faith start to go, uh-oh. And anytime somebody says, oh, this is like 2,000 years old, well, we all know what happened roughly 2,000 years ago, right? We have a whole religion, a series of religions, in fact, based on that particular birth. And it becomes a question of, uh-oh, which way are they going to jump with this? And so as soon as Pleasence's character says, this is like 2,000 years old, it's like, okay, all right. So we're definitely playing around here with, pre-Christian gods, and I wonder how far they're going to go. And luckily the answer is pretty far.
So then we meet Alice, who is an actress working on a horror movie nearby, and that is played by, as I said, Trini Michelson, who's Danish, who reminded me of, at first I thought it was a young Kim Cattrall. She has that kind of look, but I thought she was actually quite fun.
She is.
She did a couple of films around this time. She's in the Delirium.
Yep, that's the only other film that I really knew her from.
Yeah, and I looked her up. I don't really know much about her at all, other than sadly she passed away about 15 years ago back in Denmark. But her last film one of her last film credits was The Idiots. So she'd gone back to Denmark and was then just starting to get involved in the Dogma movement with Lars von Trier. So, but in this film, she plays the sort of typical 80s horror film heroine who doesn't mind giving the audience a bit of nudity on occasion.
True.
And her boyfriend, it's a really odd dynamic. So somehow this beautiful actress / singer, because we also see her in the studio at one point cutting a disc, her boyfriend is heroic, handsome archaeologist Marcus, who's played by John Pepper. And John Pepper actually is mainly a second assistant director. He worked on Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and The Winds of War, and The World According to Garp, and A Little Romance, yeah.
Every so often, he just appeared in movies. When he was a child, he's in Cleopatra, which is pretty funny. But here he is playing he's basically a bit of a heel. He's got this beautiful actress as a girlfriend, and she says, oh, I love you, I want to be with you. And he's like, yeah, whatever, I've got a hole to dig.
Well, let's talk about how little he seems infatuated with this gorgeous blonde Danish woman, by the fact that at one point in this movie, they are having sex. They are in the act itself when he takes a phone call during the sex and then stops having sex to go and answer to leave because of what was imparted to him, and says to this gorgeous blonde that he was just on the couch having sex with, I want to emphasize this, if you want to like never see me again, I understand. And I'm like, guy, finish one task before you start the next. This is basic stuff.
So this is his fellow archaeologist, I think is Mike, I think is his name. Who's the computer? Is it Mike? He's the computer expert.
Well, or Matteo, or I'm not sure what.
Oh, is it Matteo? Oh, anyway, I lost track of the name. Yeah, Matteo.
No. Wait, no. You're thinking about. No, you're right. It's Andrea.
Andrea.
Yeah. That's his buddy who I knew I had seen in something, and it drove me insane until I could figure out what it was.
Oh right, what was it?
Oh man, now I can't remember. Hang on. But what it is there's something. Well, what's wild is he's been in a few movies in just the past few years. He was in All the Money in the World in 2017 and The Tourist in 2010. Both films that I've seen. But what I figured out finally that I had seen him in from the period in which we are so utterly fascinated is The Sicilian.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. But and everything else, I was like, maybe I saw him in Devil in the Flesh as well. There was just something about
Yeah.
the his facial movements when he's delivering dialogue, and I was like, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy.
So he's the one who took some bones that they found in this tomb. He took them to his friend, who is a paleontologist, to kind of tell him what it is. And actually, this bit of the film is really funny. So he goes back a few days later, and he can't find his friend. He can only find his friend's monkey. But he finds his friend's notes, and he starts reading them out loud, which is helpful, obviously, for us.
Yes.
And as his friend has reconstructed whatever this thing is, and he says he's reading it. He says, "And the spine would have been erect." And then there's a hilarious edit where we cut to
Yes.
we cut to a shot of Marcus and Alice. It's basically a close-up of Marcus's groin as Marcus and Alice are starting to get it on. And I just thought that was one of the funniest match cuts I've seen in quite a long time.
Yeah, you don't do that by accident. That's
No.
Everybody's in on this joke.
Yeah, that was very funny. So that was one way of him trying to get around the television censors or something. I don't know. But I think that for me, that was the funniest bit of the film. That I laughed for a while after that.
We should make mention of the fact that Alice, who seems to be somehow being affected by all these spooky goings on.
Oh yes, because she's having nightmares and things.
Yeah, she keeps having these nightmares that we're not sure are nightmares until something happens and breaks her out of it.
Well, she's basically appearing in a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, so that's the thing. Is there are two specific references this movie is making to classic horror films. One is the I hope you learned to act backwards sequence where she's pulled into her own bed, a la Johnny Depp in the first Nightmare on Elm Street film. And also the wonderful shadow play sequence that is definitely something that got inspired by the original Nosferatu. Fascinating stuff and beautiful, and beautifully done. And even if at a certain point, and that's the neat thing, is that we get a couple of these things that turn out to be dreams, especially the Nosferatu reference. And then when we see the whole bed thing where we've been keyed to expect that to be the same thing, and it isn't. And so it's really kind of a nice way to set the audience up and smack them down. It's well done.
Yeah, but it just shows how sort of vague the supernatural is, because sometimes it's a wind. It's just a really, really strong wind blowing in people's faces.
Yep.
Other time it seems to be controlling rats. Then it's in your dreams. Then it's pulling people through beds. But then ultimately, is it just a big, scary monster? Or is it all of those things? And also, the film is called Specters or Spettri, which is plural. But we just see one thing. So it's very, very vague.
Well, that's just it. The ghost thing. If it's a ghost thing, I mean, that's what the first 2/3 to 3/4 of the movie would lead you to believe, is that because you're talking about the wind blowing and the kind of unseen supernatural element that's causing a lot of things to happen, the kind of general creepy vibe of things that are going on, and of course that's immensely helped out by the place where they shoot the movie. But we get to that final third and it's like, here we come, full on monster time.
Yeah. But I don't want to, because this is probably not that well known unless anyone has bought the Blu-ray. I don't want to go too far into what happens, but we should talk a bit about Donald Pleasence and because he's got quite a consistent role.
Yeah, he's on screen a good chunk of the time. Yeah,
because he knows what they found and he's excited by what they found, but he does seem to, I don't know. It's like he knows that what they found is probably evil, but he doesn't mind. It's like I can't quite tell whether he believes it or not.
Well, if you're an archaeologist, I think the thing is, if you're an archaeologist, there's a certain level of evil you're willing to accept. I mean, it's just true. It's like if you're gonna be walking through, if you're working in the swamps, you dress appropriately and you expect to get damp. Same with archaeology. There's gonna be a little evil around. That's the way it's gonna be.
there's a bit that's interesting in here where we get I think is what's referred to by fans of Evil Dead 2 as the tooling up sequence.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, when I saw that, I was amazed. So Marcus is getting ready to go into the tunnel for the first time, and he's putting on his cameras and his safety gear. But it's shot and edited like the tooling up sequence from Evil Dead 2. But didn't this come out before Evil Dead 2?
Let's see. This was 87.
Yeah, wasn't
Evil Dead 2. Wasn't that 86?
Oh, that was 87 or 87 as well, maybe.
Maybe so.
I don't know. I don't know whether they would have had time to see it and to put it in here.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to be pedantic, that particular thing was also something that you could see in Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
That's true. Yeah, fair enough. So maybe that's what but I liked that they put that in. It made the film, because that's something that Edgar Wright has done in a lot of his films, like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and stuff. So it felt quite contemporary to see that in this film. I thought that was quite impressive. But then we see him going into the tunnel, and there's first of all, he's going into this scary, very muddy tunnel, and they're all just watching him on the camera and talking to him over the radio. He's not using any kind of safety rope. Like, no. You would think he would have tied onto something back at the base.
Well, do we want to talk about...
So that if anything happened, they could pull him out, right?
Do we want to talk about the magic computer that has an 8-bit map of the place he's crawling into in the first place?
Yes, it's a very early Nintendo video game kind of
and it's also
top-down view.
It's also something pulled bit by bit from Aliens from the year before. It's very much playing off the creeping into the infested place and talking to the person as they crawl through and it's one of those kinds of things. Yeah,
they did miss a trick by not having a second dot appear on the map, right?
This is true, but I love the fact that somehow he falls through the floor and the dot disappears, and I'm thinking to myself, you don't have sensors that can do this. I'm sorry, you do not. This is 1986, 1987. I'm sorry, but also not.
So he has to fall through a hole to find the actual tomb that they're looking for, and he's all covered in mud and it's all like gross. And then we cut to a very nice, like a couple, I don't know, a little bit later. They've got him out. It's fine. They've set up lights in there. I just want to know, like later on in the film, one of the other the other woman who works for them, whose name was, I've forgotten the third archaeologist
is Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara. She's in there later on wearing completely all white clothes.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But he'd had to fall through a muddy tunnel to get there. So what have they set up? I wanted to see a bit more. Have they put in a series of ladders? Have they installed, what have they installed to get down there easily?
Yeah.
So that they're not all covered in mud every time they go down there? And how did they pull him out of this big hole when they didn't have a rope around him? I don't know. I've got questions as to how they actually did all that. But anyway, it's not important. But just the fact that she's wearing completely white clothes and she's down in this cave on her own.
Well, and they've rigged power lines and everything down there from a generator so that they can set up lights. Yeah. And she's even reading some kind of movie magazine, looking at a picture of Richard Gere. Like what? like they've been there for weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, but also because there's only, and even Donald Pleasence has been down there. So, and he's getting on a bit. So they must have installed something to make it easy to get up and down there. But
an elevator, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Because it's such a small team, I'm just thinking, how have they done this? But anyway, it's a very well-funded dig, clearly.
Yes.
They've installed an escalator. I don't know what they've done. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So the main, so we there's a lot of characters, but the focus eventually starts to come on just Alice and Marcus, and they become our main couple who things happen to, and Marcus ends up having to be the one who who may or may not be able to save the day. Yeah, I don't really want to go too much further as to whether he does save the day or not.
I think that's a good idea,
But,
because I think the
yeah.
final act of this movie is best discovered on your own. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I will do is I'll read the Variety review from its screening at Cannes in 1987. It says, Specters is a disappointing, shaggy dog Italian horror film, technically okay, but not delivering any scares and hardly any action until the finale. Helmer Marcello Avallone gets the technical side right, but has a lot of stylistic and pacing lessons to learn from the maestros of horror, which I think you would agree with, pacing-wise.
The pacing is my main complaint. Yeah.
But then it makes an interesting point here. It says the story is similar to Nigel Neal's classic Quatermass and the Pit. Work on the subways in Rome disrupts an archaeological dig nearby run by Professor Lasky, opening an ancient vault. It takes a full hour of red herrings until the monster shows up, a barely shown imitation of the tacked-on critter in Jacques Tourneur's Night of the Demon.
I'm willing to agree with that to a degree.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Top-notch lenser, I love the language they use in Variety. Top-notch lenser Silvano Ippoliti provides some nice travelling shots through the catacombs, but Pick is all build-up and no delivery. Pleasence hams it up as the only cast member whose English language voice fits his mug.
You know, I
So
gotta disagree with them there. I don't see any ham being ladled out by Pleasence.
No, the cast are pretty good.
Well, that's just it. I mean, he's not. There are no sequences where anybody's asked to be going over the top, except later when in the horror sequences. And Pleasence is the character he plays is a very level-headed and down to earth kind of guy. I mean, he's not chewing scenery here.
No. Yeah, I just also want to mention while I've got this review open that the same reviewer, maybe on the same day even, had to also watch and review Norman J. Warren's Bloody New Year. So
there might be some bleed over there.
Yeah, I mean there's some similarities actually between the two films in terms of the supernatural just being an excuse for anything weird to happen.
True. that definitely fits Bloody New Year. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just thought, what a lucky guy getting to watch both of those films in the same week.
Yeah, you say lucky. He says cursed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure he agreed really. But anyway, yeah, there you go. So the film was released on VHS in the UK. It may have been cut, but it's hard to tell because the runtime is only 89 minutes, whereas it runs a bit longer on the version that we saw. So I don't know, but if it was a cut version, it was cut before it got to the BBFC because they haven't listed anything, but that anything was cut for the 15 certificate. So it's hard to say.
Good.
But so the VHS release, it's got a very nice box recreating the Italian poster artwork, but it's got a great tagline on the VHS box. It says, "If you go down to the tombs today, you're in for a nasty surprise."
And with the cadence that you gave that,
Yeah.
I think I know where you're coming from there, sir.
Was the American VHS uses a sort of photo collage, so it's got Donald Pleasence's face on the front.
Got to put that star front and center.
Yeah, and but the tagline is very generic. It says an unforgettable journey into the darkest reaches of terror, or I should say, an unforgettable journey into the darkest reaches of terror.
Yes, let us oversell this thing. Yeah.
Well, that hurt.
You're never going to be trailer guy, are you?
No. So so that was how it got released, and there's a fairly fun plot summary on the back of the box as well, where it talks about unleashing a powerful evil force unseen by mankind for 200 centuries. Which, yeah, that is what it is.
See, that's the thing is if you're saying 200 centuries, you're forcing horror fans to do the math and come up with 2,000 years. So probably should have gone with 2,000 years.
It does also actually, looking at the other VHS covers they've got here on this database, it did get released in Germany as Catacomb, and doesn't have Donald Pleasence's face at all. The front image cover is Marcus, or Mark, as he's sometimes called, carrying his girlfriend. So we get to see a bit of flesh on the front cover.
Ah, yes, those black panties.
But anyway, so you didn't see this on VHS back in the day then?
No, I did not. I have vague memories of it showing up on the bootleg circuit, but I never pulled the trigger on it. So my first viewing of it was when the Blu-ray came out.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think I would have really enjoyed this, especially because I like any film set in tunnels. Creepy things going on underground. I always enjoy that kind of stuff. But, and obviously, if I'd have been 12 years old, there are other elements of the film that would have appealed. But
yeah.
But I think I would have enjoyed the sort of catacomb-based horror of it all. So, but yeah, I obviously had no idea.
This may be the opportunity for me to give just a brief thing here about my change in attitude over the past 15 years or so toward the Italian horror movies made in the late 80s and early 90s. I think you and I have talked a little bit about this in other areas, but this is a good example of a movie that I, like I said, did not bother with on the bootleg circuit back in the 90s and early 2000s because probably of when it was released. Because there was always this hard, fast rule in my mind as an Italian horror fanatic that past about 84, 85, it was diminishing returns, massive diminishing returns. And a lot of that is tied to how the amount of movies that were being made, the number of them deteriorated harshly because of the change in the way things could be financed, and how there were just there was less being made because of the financial end of things in a lot of different ways. It wasn't as profitable, and so I had a tendency to turn up my nose at these things. And I'm thrilled in the past 15 years to have my nose rubbed in that ridiculous arrogance, because there are so many good movies from that period. And to be blunt, because there are fewer of them made, it's easier to find them. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I think this particular prejudice is shared by a number of fans, especially from that period of time. And I think it was because we could just wallow in the joy of all the stuff from the 60s, 70s, and the early 80s. There was just so much that you could spend all your time watching and rewatching, that, establishing that cutoff point where there was a drop in quality to a degree, but also a drop in the volume. And it's just, I'm glad to have myself forced to reevaluate that period of Italian genre cinema that this comes from, because there are some real gems in there. And I'm very happy to see them getting the treatment that this film is getting, and a lot of other ones are as well.
Yeah, I think there's a tendency to think that Michele Soavi was the only one making good horror films in the late 80s.
Right. It is not true.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed this one. I'm gonna make sure that I watch Maya soon as well, so I can make that sort of comparison. But
I need to do that myself.
Yeah, no, this is a good. Well, good. So it's a 4 thumbs up from us then. This movie.
Yeah, two thumbs up for me and 2 big toes. Hello.
Yeah. Let's wrap things up here. I've got an email.
Okay.
We had a message from Michael. Thank you for getting in touch, Michael. And he says, I've been loving the Donald Pleasence season so far. Hopefully you can include Donald's performance in Warrior of the Lost World, but you have many films to choose from. So obviously I did reply, but we can mention it here as well. We have done Warrior of the Lost World before.
Yes, we have.
We covered it in our final episode of the Past Apocalypse season.
True.
which has now been a few years ago, which is hard to believe. But yeah, so we did, because that one, we decided it wasn't properly an Italian film. So we didn't cover it in the main season, but we did cover it in the final episode, because it's basically an American film with an American director. But obviously we just did Warrior Queen, which is basically the same setup. So there are no rules here. But anyway, yes. So we did do War of the Lost World, which I really enjoyed. It's kind of very silly, but really fun. And Donald Pleasence is great in it. So yeah, we did do that one. Anyway, to get back to the email, I've just recently watched Cruel Jaws on YouTube. This 1995 Jaws ripoff was directed by Bruno Mattei. It was filmed here in Florida with local actors, and he's put actors in inverted commas, whose English was dubbed into English badly. There was something about it that continued to hold my interest. I'll be sure to remember that whenever boating, if attacked by a man-eating shark and only able to find a flare gun and 5-gallon can of gasoline to defend myself, be sure to choose only one. Now, I'm pretty sure I've seen Cruel Jaws, but I've seen so many shark exploitation films recently, they're starting to crash together in my mind.
That is the problem. I have that same problem with that weird spate of Jaws ripoffs in the early to mid 80s the Italians produced. I know that it had to have something to do with the continued financial success of the Jaws sequels, but I've not seen all of them, I know, but they get all mixed up in my head.
Yeah. Which is because they're all just the same plot and very often the same actors. So what can you do?
In some cases, yeah.
I did recently get that shark exploitation set from Severin, so I know I've watched a couple of those, and I'm pretty sure I've watched Cruel Jaws, and just before I came back out to China, I watched The Last Shark as well. So yeah, they're all blurring together. Anyway, he continues. I seem to remember you having mentioned Mattei on the podcast previously. I'm inclined to punish myself with another of Bruno's films, and hope you can provide some suggestions or let me know about a past episode. So first of all, Rod, do you have any Bruno Mattei recommendations?
No, I do not. Next.
Not a question that you get asked very often.
Well, I mean, okay, so there's one film that I will point to as absolutely mind-bendingly awful, but I will defend it as something that I thoroughly enjoy, and that is, God Save Us All, Rats, Night of Terror.
Of course, yes.
It's a Bruno Mattei film. Claudio Fragasso was involved. This was during a period when the two of them were making exploitation film after exploitation film. And I'm not going to tell you it's good. I'm going to tell you that it puts a giant series of smiles on my face from the absurdity that they string together. But in general, and this may be obvious to anyone who has seen more than one of Bruno Mattei's films, in general, they are nothing but a string of sequences ripped off from other movies, pieced together in a haphazard fashion as an attempt to piggyback onto from the success of a movie. Sometimes a movie that's 10 to 12 to 15 years old. It's really weird. I will never forget the experience of watching a film that sometimes is known as Snuff Killer, which is a remake of the it's from 1990. It's from like 2003, and it is a remake of the Nicolas Cage film 8mm, which is a movie that, in my opinion, already sucked. And he does a remake of it. All he does is flip the gender of the lead character and make the same movie, and it's almost mind-bendingly terrible. But
wow,
it's but your mileage may vary. I mean, I've gotten some enjoyment out of some of his movies, but you're not gonna get me to recommend one of them straight out.
No. Well, I'm gonna put in virus, also known as zombie creeping flesh or Hell of the Living Dead.
And I knew you would.
Yeah, because it stars my friend Margie Newton.
Yeah,
But
it
also,
does. Yeah, it does.
it's good. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. It's got some great Dawn of the Dead type stuff, and it's also sort of borrowing from the Fulci films, and I think I like it.
But yeah.
And it also, I mean, it came from 1980, so it's pretty early on in the kind of Dawn of the Dead zombie flesh eater ripoffs that proliferated throughout the 80s, some of which he also directed. It has to be said.
Yeah,
like Zombie 3.
If I were to be kind, that he made a couple of, I think he made them back to back. He made a couple of women in prison films in the early 80s. Violence in a Woman's Prison, and I think Women's
Emmanuel in
Prison
Prison?
Massacre. Huh?
Isn't it also called Emmanuel in Prison? I think that one.
Oh man, that may be another film, or it may just be a retitling. I'm not 100% sure, but I can't call them good. But you already knew you were watching a woman in prison film in the first place, so if you're wise, you've already readjusted your expectations down. And I have to say, those kind of inch across the line as acceptable to my tastes. But I'm pretty rough on the Bruno Mattei end of things. I have a tendency to want to
put something else on.
I probably should. I shouldn't feel this way. I really shouldn't. But Bruno Mattei is one of those people who I have some affection for as a person. But his films, they're like root canal to a large degree. It's just the way it feels. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and obviously he did a bunch of those. Well, I say a bunch. He did a few of those Rambo type films like Strike Commando and Double Target.
Yep.
And stuff like that, which I haven't seen, I have to admit. And I still haven't seen either his Terminator sequel, Shocking Dark.
Yeah, Shocking Dark. It's also known as Terminator 2. Under any title, it is an amalgam of scenes stolen from films that you already know. But
which I quite like that. I like the sort of ballsiness of just not caring about copyright or lawyers and just making this stuff.
Just going and just doing it. Exactly.
Yeah, just going for it. So yeah, but as you said, he's a director who you can admire and like as a person without necessarily enjoying the films. But I was trying to think whether we've done any of his films, because we didn't do Rats in our Past Apocalypse season.
No,
so I'm not sure we've actually covered any.
Well, that's just it.
On this podcast.
I've done episodes of The Bloody Pit on both Rats Night of Terror, and I was forced almost at knife point to do Hell of the Living Dead by some of my co-podcasters. And
yes,
it was, it's an entertaining episode.
I remember it well.
Yeah, it was an entertaining episode. Don't get me wrong, but take that for what it's worth.
So, Mike, you need to head over to The Bloody Pit for more of Rod's feelings on Bruno Mattei to be expressed.
Yeah, I do go on at length, so be aware.
Maybe we'll find a way in a future season to include a Bruno Mattei film. I mean, I am very inclined towards. I'm very inclined towards a Jawsploitation mini-season at some point.
Well, you are aware. I mean, am I wrong? But aren't we about to here in a month or so encounter one of his films? I hate to say.
Are we? Which one?
Oh, Double Target, my friend.
Oh, that is Bruno Mattei.
Yep.
I'd forgotten.
And
yes,
Claudio
right.
Fragasso, Miles O'Keefe, Donald Pleasence, and Bo Svensson. I have not yet watched it because I was saving the pain for later, kind of like dessert.
Yeah. No, you're right. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, Mike, stay tuned.
It's not exciting. It's the wrong word. You've chosen the wrong word.
The IMDb refers to it as a dark comedy. So.
Oh no! Oh, I may cry. Okay.
Any film with Miles of Keefe is always worth watching, I think.
Hey,
He's-
he is the man. He is a tour.
Exactly. Oh, good. No, I'd forgotten that. Yeah, so we will be. Stay tuned. Bruno Mattei is coming
Yes,
up.
stay tuned. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, we'd better wrap things up here. This is running quite long, and we've all got places to be, and of course we've all got votes to cast. So we'd better wrap things up here. Thank you everybody for listening. Do check out the link tree for links to all the different things that we do, including our t-shirts and the YouTube channel. Which, I mean, if you're already listening to this, it's just the same, but on YouTube. But people do listen. I don't know why people listen to podcasts on YouTube.
I think for some people it may just be easier to do. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just stick it on in the background at work or whatever, I guess. But anyway, we are there, and on Instagram, although I don't post on there nearly enough, I will try and do that a bit more. I used to post pictures of the films we were doing, but I just never get around to it. But anyway, what can I say? I'm only human. So I think that's all from me. Thank you everybody for listening. And we should say what's next.
Oh, well, yes.
We've got, I think isn't it the Western we got next?
It is definitely Django Strikes Again from 1987.
Excellent. 1987 was a busy year for Donald Pleasence.
I think he was working a lot.
Yeah.
As in, you have a script, where's the check? Yeah.
Yeah. Where do I get to have a holiday? All right, let's go.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so the next film then, Django Strikes Again, which you can find on YouTube. So if you want to play along at home, that's where you can find it.
Definitely.
Wow, doing the trailer guy has really wrecked my throat.
Go gargle. You'll need it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Anything you want to say at the end, Rod?
No, I would just like to thank everyone for listening to the show. Please remember to check out the link tree. Join me in buying T-shirts from the link tree, as he was talking about earlier. I want to get that one with the various directors' names. One that has. I want to walk around with Deodato's name on my chest. That's something that really enthralls me. So
exactly.
But everyone, thank you for paying attention to this show. Thank you for your patronage, as they say.
Yeah, and do get in touch. We love getting messages and emails and things. So do let us know what Donald Pleasence films from Italy in the 80s you like, or if you've got any Bruno Mattei recommendations to torture Rod with, we'll also happily take those.
Oh man, please not.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
The puma man. We must find him and kill him.
Whether invoked or not invoked, either will come.
You run that head! Come out! Come on out! I kill you! Where are you? You